So this video is for people that have found themselves blaming others at any point of their journey. Or even if you're someone who catches themselves from time to time, maybe cleaning your house or maybe driving, and you just start thinking about somebody and you just start blaming them. And this is something that sneaks up on us because it's unconscious. When we're working with our unconscious, these are just things that are playing in the background. There are things that hijack us from behind, and we don't even know what's happening. But eventually we start to know what's happening because we start preaching the idea of, I don't want to be a victim, and I don't resonate with this form of behavior. Yet we can sometimes find ourselves still doing that behavior. One thing that I've learned on my path is that victims are perpetrators and perpetrators are victims. There are two sides to the exact same coin. You cannot actually be a victim without being a perpetrator. That would be really, really hard because eventually that victimhood energy needs to rear its ugly head and be seen. And when you notice yourself starting to resent somebody in the background of your mind, that's what you're doing. It's rearing its ugly head and it's making itself known. And it's basically presenting an opportunity for you to become a perpetrator. Most of us aren't going to take that. We are going to notice that, well, I'm uncomfortable. Why am I experiencing this? I thought I worked through this. That's something that I've probably told myself a million times, and I've heard other people say. And when we really get vulnerable and really authentic and clear and honest, we'll see that those murmurings happen from time to time. So what are we supposed to do? Like, how do we really transform that, especially in those times where we feel like we've already worked through it? Like, I feel like when I did that session, that healing, when I feel like I processed that with my counselor or whoever, what do I do when I'm still experiencing this murmuring coming from behind me? Well, the first thing and the most important thing is to acknowledge it and to see that it is there. When we see that it is there, we can welcome it and we can understand it. The thing that I find myself doing from time to time is just pushing it away. Like, no, I already dealt with that. Get out of here. No, I already dealt with that. But then when I actually bring it into my heart, and I sit with it, and that takes a moment of time, right? We must actually create a space for this to happen, whether that's just sitting in a chair and saying, okay, there's that thing I've been thinking about, been resenting, I'm sick of that. Now I'm going to sit, I'm going to be with this, and I'm going to understand myself. Because the thing that I see everybody doing, myself included, quick to judge and quick to forgive. Forgiveness is something I can explain in another video, but it's a false concept. You cannot just forgive. You cannot just go from resenting someone to forgiving. There are intermediary steps that we must take. One of the intermediary steps, which is oh so important, is understanding. And understanding looks like this: sitting in that chair and understanding ourselves, understanding that it's okay that we feel hurt, we feel resentful, and I'm here with myself, and I'm still here. And I'm also aware that I don't like that I'm still here. I'm too aware of that. Okay. And now I'm also aware that there's this perpetrator. I've framed them as a perpetrator. Well, how can I understand them as well? Because probably what we did is we moved through some energy, we felt lighter for a moment in time, which, i.e., that would look like me trimming this branch back, and then it grows back. That's what we're seeing. It's growing back because we didn't fully uproot it, because we fully uproot the darkness with understanding. And that understanding is so simple. Seeing that person as someone that has essentially served us on our path as a extension of our growth process in relation to something, because it's always in related to something. There's always something there that is for us. And we go, oh, well, if that person didn't do this thing, I wouldn't have learned this. So really bringing in as strong as we possibly can the teaching that we got from that perpetrator. No, not a perpetrator. We reframe that. Reframe it into what? Well, we reframe it into our teacher, oh, this person is our teacher, and they taught us, and they're playing their role just like I have played my role. So we must now understand that we have been the perpetrator as well. If we don't balance it out, if we feel like a victim, well, we need to tip the scales. If we feel like a perpetrator, well, tip the scales the opposite way. But that's not what this video is about. So we must tip the scales to actually see that we have been the perpetrator. We have been that person that has done that thing to some degree that we feel hurt about. We've done that to somebody else. If you think that you haven't, you're not looking clear and hard enough at yourself. And that's what this video is about. We transmute that victim mentality by looking clear at ourselves and seeing that the thing that I started this with is that if you are a victim, you are also a perpetrator. So if you're noticing within your mind that you have a victim mindset to do with something and you feel like someone is being a perpetrator, you must acknowledge that you're being a perpetrator. And now I want to dive into the process I just explained, which is understanding that person, understanding who they are, understanding they've been our teacher, understanding that they're also operating from an unconscious place. And if we see that they've operated from an unconscious place, well, we can see that our perpetrator and our victim is also operating from an unconscious place. Unconscious also is synonymous with automatic. It's automatic. We can't control it. But what we can control is our response to that automatic response. Right? So the way that I like to explain it is that things are happening in life, then there's a response. We can't control that. But then the response to the response we can control. So let's say that I'm resisting that I'm angry, therefore fueling my anger to become more angry. I am resisting the fact that someone has perpetrated upon me, therefore making me feel even more like a victim. And when we are resisting, essentially, we are being unconscious. Because why would we? That's all. As soon as we are conscious that we are doing it, why would we continue doing the thing? And that being said, we will always continue doing things that we know are not good for us for a period of time. The beginning of the birthing of the awakening is to start doing something that is good for us. Like, let's say you're following a diet. I know that food isn't good for me, but it feels so right now. I know being a victim isn't good for me, but it feels so good to just talk a little bit of smack right now about this person because I don't know what else to do. But as long as we are aware that I talked smack and I also am aware I didn't know what else to do. I'm aware I shouldn't have eaten that food, but I'm aware that I did it anyways. Then from that place, this whole process can become, let's say, a recalibration in us. The recalibration process can start to begin. And through that recalibration process, I have found that almost everybody, myself included, we're really hard on ourselves. And that's where understanding must come in once again. Is that these deep-seated programs, deep, so deep, of victimhood and blame, there are like ancestral, maybe even hundreds of thousands of years. If you look around of anyone who's seeking power or doing anything negative anywhere, they're feeling like a victim to somebody's something that they feel like they might do. And so we see everywhere that pretty much everybody's doing it. We've been doing it. So how do we expect to reprogram thousands of years of evolution, of survival, into just, I'm just going to forgive out of nowhere? So this is your inspiration to not jump to conclusions about forgiveness, to see that this entire growth process is a process. It takes time, it takes steps, and as long as we are gentle with ourselves, gentle with others to the best of our ability, the expansion, the awakening, and the consciousness of ourselves is going to expand in its own time. If you would like to learn a little bit more about what I do or hop on a call with me, there is a link below or in my bio. See you in the next video.